dude, you changed my life. I was getting up every morning, he said, snot rocket blowing my nose, coughing up loogies. It was an absolute mess. And I was drinking a gallon of milk every night before bed to stay strong and to have calories and good protein and all the stuff, strong bones that they lie to you about. And it's a lie. Well, good afternoon, folks. Hello to all, wherever you coming into and tuning in. We're very excited to have you a part of the Dr. Chapa Wellness Show. We are excited to teach people how to live better, be better, and stay better one bite at a time. And this podcast is going to go out to thousands, tens of thousands, millions of people that are going to need good information. So first and foremost, I just want to say welcome. We're excited to teach you what we've learned over the last 2 decades in practice, clinical practice of how to get people from point A to point B. And we're going to basically go through so many different topics over the season for the podcast, and what we hope to do with it is to educate you on how to take the bull by the horns and get healthy, stay healthy, and live healthy through food. Food is medicine, and all life starts and stops at the cellular level, and nutrition drives it all. If you eat poorly, make-believe food, the best you'll ever have is make-believe health. And that is a premise that I teach every day. It's kind of a Chapa-ism that I want you to really digest and get into your head. And the same goes. If you eat fresh, vibrant foods, you yourself will become fresh and vibrant. So it's exciting to come to you and present to you and to share ideas that have worked for me in my clinic with patients with all kinds of challenges, all kinds of issues, all kinds of diagnoses, whether they were young, old, male, female, doesn't matter. Everybody has a challenge in their body, and all life starts and stops at the cellular level, nutrition driving the game. So we want that. But before we start, I want to tell you a little bit about me. Dr. Aaron Chapa was not always Dr. Aaron Chapa. I, too, had my own health struggles as a young kid, and so I thought I would take you down memory lane. And memory lane being where my journey began. And I hope to just share all kinds of fun, raw stories. And it's really for you to get to know me a little bit and see that I put my pants on just like you do, one leg at a time. And I don't have it all figured out, but I'm thankful for what I do know and what God has already shared with me and taught me, and what I get to do now as a career to take information and teach people how to apply it to their world. So going back when I was young, under 15 years old, probably between 10 and 15 years old, I had cholesterol problems, and I was on the fast track to gaining weight. And I was, mom and dad, dual income home. They were both working, and we did eat at home quite a bit, but we also ate out quite a bit, and definitely loved my Mickey D's Golden Arch trips. I loved going and getting brown bag specials. I loved going and getting a Frosty and some French fries, just like the rest of us, right? And it was always a treat. It was always fun after church to stop and get French fries and Frosties on the way home after praising the Lord. And never thought in a million years that would cause high cholesterol. Didn't realize that was what was potentially setting me up for weight gain, and for my body to basically underperform. And so we oftentimes think that kids can get away with everything. Not every kid, not all kids, and frankly, no kids. We are all human, and we all are fundamentally needing to nourish the body, strengthen the body through food. And I was on a make-believe diet. And of course, that created a situation where not only was my cholesterol going up, then they take me to the doctor and they take me off of the fundamental proteins, things like eggs and bacon. They took me off of butter. They took me off of good, healthy fats and good, healthy proteins, and installed cereals and milk and mucus-forming foods, sugar converting carbohydrates that were all the more detrimental to my health. And then, of course, they were giving me fake butter. I mean, do you remember that little commercial that was talking about butter? Parquet butter. parquet. You remember that? I mean, so for some of you guys, I might be dating myself, but for many of you, you remember the little slogan for fake butter. And that was filled as one chemical reaction away from plastic. So literally we were all spreading plastic on our bread. We were putting it on our macaroni. We were putting it on our spaghetti. We were putting it on our vegetables, if we even ate them, which many of us didn't. I definitely did not eat a lot of veggies as a kid. But long and short of it is I was on the swim team, and being 55 pounds overweight, I looked kind of funny in a Speedo, I think. And based on the comments that were made, that really started my health journey. And I can imagine anybody in junior high that has been through junior high remembers that people aren't always very friendly when it comes to how we treat our peers at the junior high level. Our hormones are raging. We're trying to fight for position. We're trying to figure out our way in this institutionalized hodgepodge of pool of kids, male, female. And I had a girl make fun of me and say something as we were walking past one another, talking to her friend. She said something very detrimental. It's the F word. Are you ready for this? So yeah, I'm about to say it. Y'all don't plug your ears though. It's okay. It's not that F word. It's a different F word. And so the F word she used, she said, "What is he doing? Wearing that? He looks so fat." And I heard it. It rung in my ears, and wow, I never in a million years realized that image, I hate to say, kind of matters, because the great Jim Rohn, not the sports commentator, but the motivational speaker, always said, people are going to take a look. And when they take a look, they even might say something. And when they say something, it may be just the worst words that a person could hear. And those, as a young junior high kid, were indeed the worst words I could hear. And so I literally as we walked past, I went to the locker room, I changed clothes, and I literally just walked out the back of the school. I didn't check out. I didn't let anybody know where I went. I literally just vanished. And why? Because the shame, I guess, the embarrassment, the uncertainty of like how to manage the feelings that I had. Because I mean, dude, it was rough. Well, I go home, I have a conversation with myself in the mirror, and I said, Aaron, never again are we going to let somebody make fun of us for being fat. Not going to happen. What can we do right now in order to make a difference? And that's where my journey started. I literally didn't consult a book. I didn't go to the internet. I didn't call my doctor. I said, what can I do that will fix this problem? As a 15-year-old, I'm rationalizing this stuff out in a mirror with myself. And the good Lord spoke to me early on and said, it's the sugar, man. You got to get rid of the sugar. So I started evaluating where sugar comes in. Sugar in sodas. Can you imagine me over here sipping on bottles and bottles of sugar? Because I did. Cola out the wazoo. I had unlimited supply. It was absolutely mind-boggling to see the endless supply of Coke and Pepsi and Mr. Pibb and Dr. Pepper. I didn't have a preference. I didn't care which kind it was. I drank it. And cutting that out was crazy at first. I remember like wanting it, but then it really wasn't hard because I didn't want to ever be made fun of again, so that was an easy fix. I got rid of tea. I got rid of lemonade. I got rid of anything that resembled sugar in the form of liquid soda, liquid drink. I did not add sweet and low to anything. We just went cold turkey, water. That was it. Didn't drink Gatorades, Powerades, didn't do any fancy drinks in those days. And that was step one. And I started playing basketball every day, got after it. And then I lost some weight, and I lost a lot of weight. I lost so much weight that I had reintroduced myself to people the following year in school. And people thought I was anorexic because I had lost so much weight. But I wasn't anorexic. I was eating. I just didn't eat sugar. And so, one sugar story. Have you ever taken tortillas and putting butter all over it and then sprinkling white sugar all over the top of that, rolling it up like a taco and eating it? That was one of my favorite childhood delicacies. And I could make them on a little stovetop gas stove that we had at the house. Wow, I just had a memory. Can you embrace that with me for a second? But here is then fast forward, so now I'm skinny as a rail. I'm little bitty, got these little bitty wrists, little bitty ankles. I'm teeny weeny. You could, blow air hard and I'd fall over. And, but that's kind of how it was. I mean, even when I worked out in school, I never was a big guy, but I never put the sugar back in. And then fast forward to when I was 19, after I graduated, my father died on me tragically in a heart attack in my arms. And that was a monumental defining moment where I realized death is real. Absence of loved ones will happen. And I struggled, man. I absolutely found myself spiraling out of control, not knowing what to do, not knowing how I was going to navigate the world around me. Just an appreciation for life that I had to be forced into. And I hit some pretty deep lows. But in that season, interestingly, I never went to comfort food, and I think it's because I had broken that addiction the previous 4 years with no sugar. So comfort food wasn't like the thing I went to. It doesn't mean I didn't eat pizza, and it didn't mean I didn't eat burgers and French fries and barbecue sauce and stuff like that. But I wasn't like looking for comfort in food. I literally wrestled with spirit, and the Holy Spirit really, shook me up. And in that season, after, going down some dark roads, I found that the Lord opened up a world of opportunity for me and desire for finding underlying cause. And so once I hit rock bottom, and Christ got a hold of me, I realized, wow, okay, so I do have hope, and I do have a mission, and I do have something I could do. And if it was just to help one person not experience the pain of loss, then it would be worth it. And so I went on a quest to find out why heart disease happened and what could I do to be a part of fixing people with heart disease or educating people with heart disease. So I am now in chiropractic college, and through a multitude of experiences and reason, I found myself hands-on, man. I wanted a job where I could stand up, a job where I could work with people, and something that was uniquely different every day. Well, welcome to health. You know what I mean? Everybody comes in with something uniquely different every day. And but on my journey, I remember going to this program called the Y-Files, and I had the good fortune of meeting some of the greatest minds in school, had some of the best mentors, not teachers, but mentors outside of the institution that I went to. And I got to meet some very smart human beings that were fixing some really complicated things other than my elbow hurts, or I got a headache, or I got knee pain. It was so much more than that. And these guys taught this seminar, this one particular class that my mentor brought me to. He said, we got to go to this class, and they're going to teach us things that need to like bend our minds differently. And in 18 hours of the class, they taught us the physiology of disease, the physiology of wellness, and what we could do naturally and alternatively with supplementation and diet and lifestyle that would turn people's health around. And it sounds a little far-fetched. I know that in 18 hours they could have done it. We thought so too. It was standing room only, 200 people in a sardine can listening to these two doctors from Canada and Pennsylvania talk. And they had photographic memories, man. They were super, super smart, and they're inspirational listening to what they knew about the nervous system, what they knew about the brain, all the different tracks. They knew it inside and out. They knew nutrition inside and out. They knew what to do to fix stuff. And they also knew some of the propaganda on the backside of healthcare that I think is also important to appreciate when we're dealing with people's health. And at the end of the class, the following Monday, a guy walks up to me named Tony. Tony comes in and says, dude, can you fix psoriasis? And I said, fix psoriasis? yeah, I can fix psoriasis. I'm like, do I have a sign on my head that can fix psoriasis? He had bloody, itchy skin to the point where he couldn't even get in swimming pools because it was like leprosy. People would get out of the pool when he got in. When he pulled his shirt off, people went, "Ooh, that don't look good." And he couldn't take his kid to the local pool, and that was very detrimental, as you can imagine, probably like my feeling of being called fat. And he literally started a program with me. I called the my docs up in Pennsylvania and Canada and said, "What do I do? I don't know what to fix this." And we put him on a protocol. And within 30 days, I thought we'd get some result. But interestingly, in 18 days, we had an 80% resolution of psoriasis. The bleeding stopped, the itchiness stopped, the flaky skin stopped. His brain turned on, his mental clarity turned on. He was a student with me, so he was one of the students on campus, and he goes, "Dude, I'm thinking faster and better than I've thought ever." Like, he can't remember. He was in an IT industry before chiropractic college, and this stuff that we're talking about turned his life around. But more importantly, he was able to take his kid back to the pool and not look like a leper, and that was life-changing. And I knew I was onto something when another person came up to me with skin problems, another person came up to me with migraines, another person came up to me with allergies. And now the doctors on campus were coming up to me asking, "Hey, what'd you do for such and such? And how'd you help what's his name with that? And what'd you do for her with this?" And it was just fascinating because all of a sudden the doctors that I was being taught by were asking my advice, and I truly had no real appreciation for what I was holding in my hand. I mean, when I started practice, okay, just to give you an idea, there was a 6-foot shelving unit in Target and Walmart that had some quote unquote healthy options. You had to go to a alternative health food store to find anything of quote unquote health food, which has always kind of made me think, like, if you got to go to a health food store for healthy food, then what are they selling in the regular stores? You know what I mean? So you got to kind of take this stuff in stride. But so when I graduated, I had basically a desire to do more than just move bones. Although I love chiropractic and I love moving bones, I love tinkering with the nervous system, nutrition is the fundamental backbone that drives it all. And so the first 2 years in practice, I did not adjust anybody. I literally did nutrition on everyone. And that was how I built my practice. So essentially, I was already on a track to do functional medicine before I even started my practice, only because the mentors and people that God brought into my life to teach me, train me, develop me, all had a different nutritional bent on how they approached wellness and how they approached sick care and how they approached people. And I adopted a lot of those early practices. And so I understood a lot of these things. But, starting a practice sounds easy. It's not. It's one thing to know all this cool information, but now I got to be the guy on the corner waving the flag and come see me, come see me. And one of my mentors, my new mentors at the time were telling me, "Look, this is how you are being tested. Will you withstand the time?" So whatever your dream is that you're going for, mine was to serve the masses in well-being and wellness. What is your dream, and what's your why, and what are you willing to put up with on the road to success? Because believe you me, I was working 2 jobs, and it was actually I was a training clients in the morning, working all day at a clinic, and then I was training in the evening. So I would be at the gym at 5, and I'd be back leaving the gym at 11 p.m., and I was making no money. I mean, none. I think we were like $2,000 below the poverty line at the end of our first year. I really don't know how we survived, other than the good shepherd, provided, Jehovah Jireh, the Lord our provider. So I'm thankful that we survived, because my wife and I, when we got married, we had a 3-year plan before we decided we were going to have kids, and God, changed that plan, and it turned into 3 months. And so our 3-month plan, or 3-year plan, turned into 3 months. So 3 days before our anniversary, we had a baby, Kinley. And so Kinley was driving with us to and fro from Humble to where we were in South Shore Harbor. And it was a 60-minute drive door to door. There was no easy tag taking you across the waters like they are today. And it was a long drive. You had to leave at a certain point of time every morning. It was very stressful. My wife is not a morning person. She is a no coffee, no talkie type person, a connoisseur. And so we fought all the way to and fro from the office because I didn't want to be late. I started early. I'm an early bird, but we're trying to juggle this kid, get her to and fro. I mean, our first practice literally had concrete as floor. They didn't even have the floor in yet. Our first practice was tucked away in a storage warehouse, office building, executive suite, away from the main road. The only way you would find me is if you knew that I was there. I had no outside signage, and yet I would tell patients, and God showed me that the beacon of light to serve the masses that we've always wanted to be a blessing to, they would find you. And that when you fix one, you tell them about it, tell them to go tell their friends, family, loved ones. And lo and behold, we built a referral cash-based practice right out the gate in those 2 years that helped set us up for success. And so fast forward, one of the things that I realized on my journey to wellness is that with nutrition and people coming in with all kinds of ails, you can never be wrong with nutrition. If you're eating well and you're thinking well and you're working out your life on paper, you're thinking about things and praying about things, God will order your steps. I love that Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 scripture that talks about trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. So wherever you're at, just to kind of inspire, I hope, to encourage you to pursue your dreams and to know that good health allows you bandwidth to deal with the challenges of building a practice or building a business or doing something great in your organization, right where you're at, blooming where you're planted. But if you don't feel well, guess what? You're going to perform not so well. And I want to teach people every day through wellness how to be better. So my wife and I have 4 kids now, all born at home. And I look back, there's no way I would have started this practice without my wife. We have figured out, by the way, how you have children, you move. So every house that we've owned, we have had a kid in. And so we just stopped moving. So we're right now at 4 kids, so we don't plan to move anymore. But at the end of the day, that's how it works. That was our birth control, right? So but we are now 2 decades into practice, and we have seen a number of changes over the years where health is huge. People are more aware than ever, but people are oftentimes more confused than ever. And so we are now stepping into the information age, knowing that we are a voice of reason to teach people a different way still, because there's still fast food joints competing for your dollar. There's still sit-down restaurants that are competing for your dollar. There's grocery store items that are competing for your kids' eyes in order for them to build in you a repetitious buyer. And so they ran Corporation, and Pepsi Cola Corporation came in, and they did a study, and they found that by the time you're 9 years old, if you were consuming their drink, that you'd be hooked on them forever. That's the mayonnaise you buy today, probably is the same mayonnaise you bought growing up. The syrup you buy today is probably the syrup that you were buying as a kid. The fast food chains that you frequent is the same fast food joints that you're probably still frequenting if they're still in business. And so it's just fascinating to see how habitual we are as humans. And those habits, what we've discovered is Americans have the same 11 meals incorporating into their diet every time. Like they don't deviate from outside of about 11 meals. And if you start looking at your diet, so if you start filling out food logs and you start looking at what you're eating, you're going to see, yeah, I eat macaroni 3 times a week. I eat, a steak twice a week. I get a baked potato, once a week. I get a cereal every morning. I do the same patterns of things day in and day out, and people have no idea because they're literally aimlessly going through the motions through their day, eating the same things, and they don't realize that their headaches are a product of their diet, that their bad sleep is a product of their diet, their allergies are a product of their diet. And in our journey over the years, I remember even running a marathon, the Houston Marathon, the half. I did not do the full. I respect marathon runners because that's not something I'm interested in. That was a brutal time during Hurricane Ike. But we were training, and I met a guy on our 13-mile trial run, and he was like hacking loogies and snot rockets, and they were white and nasty, and it sounded horrible. I can't even imagine this guy running through this, but he was running, and we were pacing about the same speed, so we just kind of ran the time together. Well, I felt bad for him, but I didn't really want to tell him who I was because I didn't want to be that guy. And so at the end, I said, hey, man, let me tell you who I am real quick, just because I want you to know, like, maybe if you try this, it could help you, and I may never meet you again. So I told him he should get off of certain foods, and it would help him with his snot and his allergies and sinus infections and his reoccurring and upper respiratory tract infections. And sure enough, we never saw each other again, except for the race. On race day, at the end of the race, he found me. And Hurricane Ike had already come through our area, and it wrecked our area, so I kind of fell off training as good as I should have, and it might be why I didn't do so good in the race. But he found me and said, dude, you changed my life. I was getting up every morning, he said, snot rocket blowing my nose, coughing up loogies. It was an absolute mess. And I was drinking a gallon of milk every night before bed to stay strong and to have calories and good protein and all the stuff, strong bones that they lie to you about. And it's a lie. Every country that consumes dairy for bone growth and bone strength has the highest incidence of osteoporosis and osteopenia. So milk does not do a body good, okay, period. You just can't do it. Well, anyway, he got off the dairy, and in 72 hours, his life changed. And still at that date and time when I saw him, and he was completely, for almost a month, because he had been off it for a month, he had dried up his sinuses, his allergies improved, and he hadn't been sick, and he was on his way to a better him. And ultimately, probably still exercising, probably still active, and probably still performing at a level that he wouldn't be performing at 2 decades later if he stuck with it. Now, I don't know if he stuck with it or not, but at the end of the day, I know in that moment, having the courage to just tell him who I was, what I did, and why I do this stuff, it changed his life. And I believe that at that point, it comes to an opportunity. It's your life, it's your health, it's your choice. How are you going to live your life each and every day so that you can live your best, be your best, stay your best with food? Because it starts with food and it ends with food. If you eat sugar, you're going to be sick. If you eat make-believe food, you're going to have make-believe health. If you want to make sure that your body is fueled right and performing right, you got to eat right. And we want to teach people how to live better, be better through food because it's medicine. And so if the dude don't move, the dude don't groove. We've got to make sure that we eat well so that we can move well. And so there's one last concept that I just want to roll through is that we take and we strengthen the structure of the person so that they can be active. We strengthen the biochemistry of the person so that they can be active. We strengthen the emotions of the person so they can be confident and courageous to go out and be all that they can be. And so as you're going on your health journey, know that there is a solution, there is an answer. Are you willing to make the changes necessary to live your best life? God bless you, man. We can't wait to see you in the next show.